For decades, one question has haunted Michael Jackson's legacy more than almost any other. What happened to his nose? The tabloids called him Wacko Jacko. They said his nose was falling off. They claimed he'd had dozens of surgeries. They showed side-by-side photos and mocked him relentlessly. Michael himself only admitted to 2 rhinoplasties, but the world didn't believe him. The rumors spiraled out of control, and the truth? It got buried under years of lies, speculation, and cruel jokes. Today, we're finally getting answers. Plastic surgeons, medical experts, and people who actually knew Michael are revealing what really happened to his nose. The surgeries he actually had, the medical complications that made things worse, and the tragic reason his appearance changed so dramatically. This isn't speculation, this is medical fact, and it's going to change everything you thought you knew. Let's get into it. First, let's talk about Michael Jackson's original nose. If you look at photos of young Michael from the Jackson 5 era, the late 1960s and early 70s, you see a kid with a wider, flatter nose. Very typical of African-American features. Nothing unusual, nothing that stood out. But Michael was incredibly self-conscious about his appearance, particularly his nose. In his autobiography, Moonwalk, Michael admitted that his father, Joe Jackson, used to mock him. Call him Big Nose, make fun of his looks. That kind of verbal abuse from a parent, it scars you deeply. So when Michael became a solo superstar in his early 20s and had the money and the means to change his appearance, he did. In 1979, Michael had his first rhinoplasty, a nose job. He was 21 years old. The goal was simple: make his nose smaller, more refined, more in line with the Hollywood beauty standards of the time. And honestly, the first surgery was successful. Look at photos from the off-the-wall era in 1979 to 80. Michael's nose is thinner, more sculpted, but it still looks natural. It still suits his face. If Michael had stopped there, this wouldn't even be a conversation. But he didn't stop. In 1981, during the Thriller era, Michael had a second rhinoplasty. Michael claimed this second surgery was medically necessary. He said he had broken his nose and needed reconstructive work. Some reports suggest he had breathing problems, and the surgery was meant to fix a deviated septum. But plastic surgeons who've analyzed photos from this period say the changes were primarily cosmetic, not medical. Michael's nose became even thinner. The bridge became more defined. The tip became more pointed. And this is where things started to go wrong. Here's what most people don't understand about rhinoplasty. Your nose is made of cartilage, bone, and skin. When you remove too much cartilage or bone, the structure becomes weak. The nose can't support itself properly. Michael's second surgery removed a significant amount of cartilage, and according to medical experts, that's when the structural problems began. By the mid-1980s, during the bad era, you can start to see changes in photos. Michael's nose looks different from different angles. Sometimes it looks fine. Sometimes it looks collapsed or asymmetrical. Plastic surgeons call this nasal collapse, when there isn't enough structural support left in the nose and it starts to lose its shape. Michael's doctors reportedly tried to fix this with additional procedures. Not full rhinoplasties, but minor corrections, injections, cartilage grafts, attempts to rebuild what had been removed. But every time you operate on a nose, you create scar tissue. And scar tissue makes future surgeries more difficult and more risky. Michael was caught in a cycle. Surgery to fix a problem. New surgery causes a new problem. Another surgery to fix that, and on and on. By the 1990s, Michael's nose was visibly struggling. Now let's talk about what the tabloids said versus what actually happened. The tabloids claimed Michael had dozens of nose surgeries, 10, 15, 20. Some even said 30. Is that true? No. According to medical experts who've reviewed Michael's medical history and photos over the years, Michael likely had somewhere between 4 and 6 rhinoplasty procedures total. Not 30, not even 10. But here's the thing. Even 4 to 6 surgeries on the same nose is a lot. And each one increased the risk of complications. The tabloids also claimed Michael's nose was falling off, that he wore a prosthetic nose, that chunks of his nose were missing. Is that true? Partially, Michael's nose wasn't literally falling off. But by the late 1990s and 2000s, there was visible damage. The tip of his nose appeared pinched. The nostrils looked irregular. There were signs of necrosis, tissue death, which happens when there isn't enough blood flow to the area after repeated surgeries. Photos from the 2005 trial show Michael wearing a bandage on his nose at times. This wasn't for cosmetic reasons. This was likely covering wounds or irritation from the structural damage. Did Michael wear a prosthetic? Possibly. Some reports suggest he used a small prosthetic tip at times to create a more uniform appearance when photographed. But this wasn't because his nose fell off. It was because the surgeries had left his nose misshapen, and he was trying to hide the damage. And here's where it gets even more complicated. Michael had lupus. Lupus is an autoimmune disease that can affect the skin, joints, and connective tissue. One of the side effects of lupus is poor wound healing and increased sensitivity to surgery. If Michael was having nose surgeries while dealing with lupus, that would explain a lot of the complications, the tissue damage, the slow healing, the ongoing problems. But the tabloids didn't care about medical explanations. They just wanted to mock him. So what do plastic surgeons say today about what happened to Michael Jackson's nose? Dr. Pamela Lipkin, a facial plastic surgeon, analyzed photos of Michael over the years and concluded that he likely had multiple rhinoplasties that removed too much cartilage, leading to structural collapse. Dr. Anthony Youn, another well-known plastic surgeon, said that Michael's case is a textbook example of what happens when you perform too many surgeries on the same area. Each surgery creates scar tissue, reduces blood flow, and makes the next surgery more dangerous. Dr. Paul Nassif, a rhinoplasty specialist who's appeared on the show Botched, said that Michael's nose would have required complex reconstructive surgery to fix properly. Cartilage grafts from the ear or rib, extensive rebuilding, months of recovery. But Michael never stopped working long enough to have that kind of surgery. He was constantly performing, touring, recording. He couldn't take 6 months off to heal. So instead, he had minor fixes, band-aids on a bigger problem, and those fixes only made things worse over time. Here's what the surgeons agree on. 1. Michael's first nose job was fine. It looked natural and didn't cause problems. 2. The second surgery removed too much cartilage, which started the structural issues. 3. Subsequent surgeries tried to fix the problems but created new ones because there wasn't enough healthy tissue left to work with. 4. Michael's lupus and other health conditions made healing more difficult and increased the risk of complications. 5. If Michael had stopped after the first or second surgery, his nose would have been fine. But once he started trying to fix the problems, he got trapped in a cycle that couldn't be stopped. And here's the tragic part. Michael was aware of the problems. He knew his nose was damaged, but he was so traumatized by the way the media mocked him that he kept trying to fix it, which only made things worse. When Michael Jackson died in 2009, the autopsy provided some answers about his nose. The coroner's report confirmed that Michael had undergone multiple rhinoplasty procedures. It noted scarring consistent with several surgeries. It also documented that Michael's nasal structure showed signs of damage and irregularity. But here's what's important. The autopsy did not say his nose was falling off. It did not say he had a prosthetic nose permanently attached. It did not confirm the most extreme tabloid claims. What it did confirm was that Michael had structural issues with his nose due to repeated surgeries. That's it. The autopsy also confirmed that Michael had vitiligo and lupus, two conditions that would have affected his skin's ability to heal properly after surgery. So the medical reality is this. Michael Jackson had multiple nose surgeries that removed too much cartilage, leading to structural problems. Those problems were made worse by his lupus and by continued attempts to fix the damage through additional procedures. It's not a story of vanity gone mad. It's a story of a deeply insecure person trying to fix something and getting trapped in a cycle of surgeries that couldn't be stopped. And the media? Instead of having compassion for someone clearly struggling, they mocked him. They dehumanized him. They turned his pain into a punchline. So why does this matter? Because the story of Michael Jackson's nose is really a story about how we treat people who look different. Michael Jackson grew up being told he was ugly. His father mocked his appearance. The industry pressured him to fit a certain standard, and when he tried to change himself to meet those standards, the world punished him for it. If Michael had been left alone after his first surgery, he would have been fine. But the media scrutiny was relentless. Every photo was analyzed. Every change was criticized. He was called a freak, a weirdo, a monster. And that scrutiny drove him to keep trying to fix what the world kept telling him was broken. Michael Jackson's nose became a symbol of everything wrong with celebrity culture. The impossible beauty standards, the lack of compassion, the cruelty disguised as entertainment. Plastic surgeons now use Michael's case as a teaching tool. They show before and after photos to medical students and say, "This is what happens when you operate too many times. This is what happens when you remove too much tissue. This is why we have to say no to patients sometimes, even if they're begging us to do more." Michael Jackson's nose is a cautionary tale for patients, for doctors, for a society that values appearance over humanity. And the saddest part, Michael never got to see the world accept him for who he was. He spent his entire life trying to change himself to fit an impossible standard, and in the end, it didn't matter. The world judged him anyway. So there it is, what really happened to Michael Jackson's nose. The surgeries he actually had, the medical complications that followed, and the tragic cycle he couldn't escape. The tabloids lied, the rumors were exaggerated, but the truth is still heartbreaking. Michael Jackson was a human being who struggled with insecurity, who made mistakes trying to fix himself, and who paid a terrible price for living his life under the world's microscope. His nose wasn't falling off, but his spirit, that was being destroyed by a world that wouldn't let him just be. What do you think? Was Michael a victim of bad plastic surgery, or was he a victim of a cruel society that couldn't leave him alone? Let me know in the comments below. And if this video opened your eyes to the truth about Michael's struggles with his appearance, smash that like button and subscribe to King of Pop for more honest, researched content about the real Michael Jackson. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching. The King of Pop deserved compassion, not cruelty, and will never stop defending his truth. Peace.